So this is now the opportunity where I have the formal pleasure of introducing our guest speaker for today. And Dr. Shirley Davis, CSP, is a sought-after global workforce expert, and she's president and CEO of SDS Global Enterprises, which is a strategic development solutions firm that specializes in human resource strategy, talent management, leadership effectiveness, and culture transformation. She has over 30 years of experience in senior executive leadership roles with Fortune 100 and Fortune 50 companies. She's also served as the Vice President of Global Diversity and Inclusion for the Society of Human Resource Management, not at the state level, but at the national and international level. It's an extraordinary achievement. Shirley's been a featured expert in a wide variety of publications, including the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Harvard Business Review, Oprah Daily, USA Today, and in major news media outlets such as the NBC Today Show, CBS News, and CNN.com. She has a bachelor's degree in pre-law, 2 master's degrees in adult education and in human resource management. She has a PhD in business and organizational leadership and has earned her certified speaking professional status, that's CSP. She's worked in more than 30 countries on 5 continents and delivers more than 100 speeches a year and survived the latest hurricane in Tampa. She's a member of NSA's prestigious and frankly very difficult to get into $1 Million Speakers Group. She's a member of Black NSA and the Global Speakers Federation. But she doesn't just do these things to make money for herself, she also gives back. Shirley has served on the board of directors of the National Speakers Association as well as on our National Foundation board. She's received too many honors to list in great detail over the years, but in 2022, Shirley received the prestigious Golden Gavel Award, which is given to only one person annually by Toastmasters International. She's the author of 5 books, and she is a popular LinkedIn learning course creator focusing on leadership and business career development. We are so honored to have her here today. She's going to pull the curtain back. She is going to share with us ideas on how we can monetize our businesses. And please join me in giving her a really wonderful Minnesota welcome. Dr. Shirley Davis.
Exciting to be here with you. Thank you so much for the honor, the invitation, and thank you for your attendance this morning and for your engagement. I would rather be nowhere else than right here where I'm supposed to be because I totally believe in divine appointments. And if I accepted this appointment, come hell, hot water, or hurricane, I was going to be here. So about 15 days ago, you probably heard of Hurricane Helene that was coming to Tampa Bay in a category 4 and 5. And you heard that it was an eye of the storm that was going to have surges up to 10 to 15 feet. And they had a mandatory evacuation. You got to get out if you live near the Gulf. Well, I am one of those, living right in Treasure Island. Thankfully, I had another home, too, that was a little inland, so we had to do mandatory evacuations. At the same time that all of that is going on, I've got 3 major keynotes that are coming up, and I got to fly out. And the airports are closing. So what do you do when you know you want to go and kill the keynote, but you got to make sure that you're keeping your commitments, and at the same time, you're worried that your house might not be there when you get back? So what I did was I made 3 different airport reservations because they were talking about the airports were going to close. And I didn't want to let my client down. They had booked me 2 years ago. And they had done a lot of work to build this financial technology conference for all of the students, the faculty, and some of the alumni. I don't want to let my clients down, so I wanted to do everything that I could. We boarded up everything, got out of Dodge, moved inland, and I flew out. So here we are having to deal with Helene. Came back home, found out from one of my neighbors who was able to get back. I was not for a few days. And they said, hey, this was devastating. It's like, you don't want to see this yet. 3 feet of water came through all of our homes. They said it turned into a river Some of my community was telling me that they had left their cars inside of the garages, right? Even though they evacuated, they left their cars there. Who would have thought that 3 feet of water full of salt water and sand and debris would kill the engines in your cars? So up and down my street, there are cars that now are immobile. The pictures that you might have been seeing on TV don't do it justice of people's lives, their livelihoods, their homes, their memories of 25, 30, and 40 years on the street. Nothing else left. I'm fortunate that at least I had a multiple story home, but lost the whole first floor. I've never in my life seen water so strong that when you come back home, your hot water tank, your washer and dryer, and your mini fridge that you have down there, the microwave, everything's floated and turned over. There were boats that were at the marina that were up and down the street. People didn't know where their boats were. There were people who had all kinds of animals and their animals were displaced. All of that I say to say is that we all as speakers have life issues, challenges, tests that we're dealing with. And if you want to be an amazing speaker, you've got to have the right attitude about life. I'm a big believer that life is not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you. So I made a commitment that I was going to keep my commitment to my client, even if it meant me being inconvenienced. So I did that. That was Helene 15 days ago. We're cleaning up all the mold, so all these walls like this, they had to cut it all out up to 4.5 feet because of the mold, right? And then they had to tear up all the floors, right? You had to move all of your furniture out. And then I'm on my way to Fayetteville, North Carolina to speak at another conference. Finally got back home and they're like, and now we got Milton coming. Hurricane Milton is going to be a Category 5 storm, and it's the fiercest thing we've ever seen. We've never seen anything like this in 100 years. Coming to Tampa. I gotta go to Fayetteville, North Carolina, because I've got people waiting on me there. And so I flew out early because they were closing airports the next day. Took an early flight out. So by 9 o'clock the next day, flights were all canceled, airports all closed, but I was able to do a little bit of that keynote, and I killed it. The client loved it. But you know what? I couldn't worry about when I was going to get home. I spoke on Tuesday, couldn't get back home until Friday. But I stayed there in North Carolina, went to go see family, hung out with some friends, and you know what? You can't do anything about it. Got back home and had some trees down, debris down, and just another exacerbation of all the wind damage to what was already devastation from Helene. So I don't ever want to see a Helene and a Milton in my life. We've had enough damage, but what was most important is in the midst of all of that, it's going to take months to clean up. So yesterday I was out there, we're cleaning up everything, and we're still throwing things away, and we're having things removed and taken to the landfill, couches and beds and office supplies and 8 boxes of books and product and merchandise. Lost a lot of stuff, but at the same time, I had to fly out to come be with you. But that's what top thank you. But that's what top speakers do. They make the sacrifice. And for me, it'll be there. Things can be replaced, but the impact that you get to make in other people's lives are forever. And so I am grateful to be here this morning in the midst of all that I face and what I'm going on. I said this was a wonderful distraction to come and see people and to talk to so many of you and to see you wanting to live your dreams, to build the kind of businesses that will have an impact of a lifetime. Because for me, it is about the people that I meet. And I don't want to meet people and not have an impact in their lives that they'll say, I remember her. And because of her in my space and the things that she said to me, she inspired me, she empowered me, and she made me think differently. That's important to me. So we're going to talk today, but not only about how to kill the keynote, but let's make sure that our businesses aren't dying, because guess what? The success of your business has everything to do with your internal mindset and the way that you operate the behind the scenes business. Who are you when nobody sees you? Who are you when you're not on the stage? Who are you before you get to the stage? And people see me and I'm bubbly like this from about 6 o'clock in the morning. I wake up like this. Until about 6 in the evening. I'm a morning person, right? And I get it. Not everybody is a morning person, but I'm an energizer bunny. Why? Because I love what I'm doing. I am living my best life that I created, right? I am the master of my own reinvention, and I'm living my destiny. And that's a part of killing the keynote, is also giving who you are on the inside, not just what they see on the outside. So we're going to talk about multiple ways that we can build our keynote and some of the revenue streams that can come from that. But we're also going to talk about what are some of the key resources that you have to have. Now, I was meeting some of you today. Some of you are new to the speaking business. Some of you are OGs, right? You've been doing this for a long time. Some of you are still in the academy. Some of you came and you left and you came back, right? And so there's a multiplicity of experience in the room. My goal today is to ensure that I speak to all of those. That I speak to all of the experiences, the needs, and where you are in your tenure as a speaker. So as we think about killing the keynote, some of the things that you might do to kill it, right? Kill it, crush it, leave nothing on the table, and have people feel empowered by your speech, is that first of all, you arrive early. And you want to make sure that you get a chance to meet the client, interact with the client, and spend time like I did this morning. I love to come early and just meet people and get more intel, learn who is in the audience, what are the needs, where are the opportunities at, right? So it was awesome. I've met people from Africa. I met people who just moved here about 10 years ago, who just moved here. Just amazing to meet you and to see the needs, but I also get an opportunity to connect with you and be more relatable. I can't stand the speakers that show up, blow up, and then blow back out. You don't get a chance to get to know who they are, and they don't get a chance to know who you are. That's not who I am, right? I want to be a part of who you are. So you conducted your due diligence, right? You spent time understanding the audience, but also understanding the organization, understanding the industry, and you customized your presentation. You'll notice that some of the things that I'm talking about are some of the things that I did. So I text Ross this morning. I was like, Ross, why are you not here? Where's my smile, my hug, and my M&Ms that he usually give me? So Ross sends his regards. He is speaking in London this morning. All right? But you open with a powerful story or some kind of a quote or even a joke or a statistic or something that is a hook or a scenario. Because people want to hear something about not only the topic, but they want to hear about you. So I think next month you're going to be having Karen McCullough, who's going to be talking about storytelling. If you don't do anything else as a speaker, you've got to master the art of storytelling. Because people don't remember as many statistics and all of the research and the studies that you share, but they will remember your stories because they can see themselves in it. All right, so in order to kill the keynote, you don't have issues with sound, with lighting, with clickers, and with videos. Everything goes off smooth. Why? Because you got there early enough to test everything, right? So you're not just blowing in and then just hope that everything works on a prayer. No, everything also works with preparation and planning and making sure that everything is aligned. You kept the audience's attention throughout the entire, whether you are doing it virtually or whether you are in person, you want to captivate the audience enough. I spoke last week, I was speaking during a luncheon. And I was speaking to a young group of technology experts, right? Young workers. And I was at Yahoo. And to be able to keep their attention, I was like, you know what? If you can speak to young people during a luncheon, and at the end they still are engaged, I'm a good speaker, right? That's a good sign. I can speak to y'all all day long, but when you can speak to young people, right? Because we know a lot of times their attention spans are, boop, boop, right? It's done. So you keep their attention throughout. You also offer practical solutions that have immediate application. People are always asking for takeaways. What are some of the things that I can go back and do immediately? And what are some resources that we can take? Nope, you don't get my slides, but what you'll get is a takeaway that will provide for you some of the key resources, some of the strategies and tips, techniques that were provided. And guess what? I'm going to do the same thing for you. So have your cameras available because I've got a scan code that you'll be able to go in and access what I have today and the 10 different revenue streams, as well as 16 key resources that every speaker needs to build their business. And I would imagine, too, that you can use this in any business. But also, you were high energy. You were engaging. You were interactive. Right? So it's not just about me talking to you. I want to hear from you as well. So throughout my presentation, I'm going to engage from you because I want to have you interact and share your experiences. One of the things I learned in my master's degree in adult education was pedagogy. And that is that adults learn better from each other. Adults retain greater information when they can share their own experiences. So we will certainly do some of that today too. But also your presentation was inclusive, meaning that you were using appropriate language and words, using those types of, as you talk about stories and references, that you're not saying things that would isolate people. So let me give you a couple examples because I was guilty of this and I had to learn it, and we all have blind spots. So I was doing an opening icebreaker in a large auditorium, and the icebreaker required you to stand up if. So I made some statements and say, stand up if this statement applies to you. My blind spot is that there were two people who were in wheelchairs. So be sensitive to that. So instead of saying stand up if, what I said was stand up or raise your hand if. Right? So thinking about inclusivity, right? Some of the words that you might use, the ways and activities that you might engage in that might leave people out. So another example of a blind spot that I had was I was actually, this was some words that I needed to shift and change. One of my clients says, hey, Dr. Davis, we're working on our pronouns, right? I know as we talk more about the inclusive language and more the demographic shifts, we've got an audience of people who are, men, women, different generations. So you got Gen Z in the room all the way up to the traditionalists in the room. You got people who've got different experience. They come from different cultures around the world. And we're working on our pronouns because we want to be more sensitive and inclusive of LGBTQ. So if you could, please don't use that type of gender-specific language. So instead of saying, you guys, which I'm country. I was born and raised in North Carolina, and you guys meant everybody. So I'm learning that that's not appropriate when we're talking to an audience and we're talking about inclusion, right? I'm trying to be as inclusive and respectful as possible. So instead of saying you guys, now what I did was I said, I understand you are working on your pronouns and I want to be as inclusive as possible. I told them a little bit about how I grew up, and I said, I'm used to saying you guys as a generic term, but I understand that that may not be as inclusive. So please give me 3 opportunities to get it right. So I messed up twice. Right? And on the third time, I caught myself. So I actually was interrupting my biases as I was speaking. So they gave me the opportunity to mess it up twice, right? But that's what you do. You recognize it, you call it out and say, hey, I want to make sure I'm being as inclusive. So what I learned to say was my friends, or I learned to say all of you, right? And just learn how to shift and change my language. So inclusive, it needs to be relevant. Right? So are you talking about things that people have dealt with and experiencing and things that are relevant to their industry? And that means showing up, understanding, learning more about the audience in the room. I always ask those questions. Who's going to be there? Tell me a little bit about some of their pain points. Tell me a little bit about some of their challenges. What I was asking several of you today when I came in is, what do you talk about? What are some of the things that you're challenged with? If you could launch your own business, what would that look like? What are some of the things that are in your way now, the obstacles that you find? Or have you considered this? That's important, right? To be relevant and to be relatable. But also, you end on time. That's an important thing, too, because they have a specific agenda. So if you've got a 2-hour presentation and they tell you that you really only have 1 hour and 30 minutes, you need to adjust it immediately. It's disrespectful to be up and feel like what you got to say is more important than the client's agenda and the time of all of the people that are there. So it's wonderful that we were talking this morning, Jill, and I said, tell me what time I have, because I recognize when I get there, sometimes things change. Have you ever been in a situation to where the speaker before you took so much time that you got cut off 20 minutes? Yes. Right? And so you have to be willing to adjust. Or on the flip side, the other speaker didn't show up, and they may want you to now go a little bit longer. Would you know how to do that? And there's been times where I had planned on doing this icebreaker and that icebreaker and this activity, and I had to pivot in the midst of that. So knowing how to do that, always have a plan A, B, and C, but stay on time. And yes, you got a standing ovation, you got all the applause, and the client was satisfied. You killed the keynote, and that is so important. We want to be that kind of speaker that is, when people walk in and when they walk out, they're like, wow, I learned something today, right? My mind was expanded. Yes, I'm empowered. Yes, I'm inspired to go and do something differently. If you leave out the same way you came in, I didn't kill the keynote. I don't care how well you thought that people might have laughed and you had a great time. But if people leave the same way that they came in, we have not made a difference. My goal today is to make a difference. And so I don't want us to just kill the keynote and then our business is going out of business.
Do you have any interest in
So what you don't want to do is kill the keynote, do an awesome job on stage, but then your business is going out of business, that it's dying. So what I want to hit on today is, in this session, we're going to talk about at least 10 ways that you can monetize your business, monetize your keynote, and turn it into multiple revenue streams in 6- and 7-figure digits, right? I used to work in corporate America. I was getting a great salary. I had benefits. I had a steady paycheck. And it was a little scary to step out on my own, especially even being a single parent at the time. But I did it 10 years ago. I took the leap. And I decided that I was not going to go back, that I wanted to continue to build on my business. But I knew that if I was going to be able to do that, that I was not going to only be able to make it on just a keynote. Otherwise, that's going to kill me, right? Now, you heard Jill in the introduction say I do almost 100 keynotes a year. I'm not doing all of those in person. I do a lot of virtual as well, and I even have some that I record and send it to the client. Jill and I were talking about it as well, and she's like, wow, what happens? We never think about that. We probably need to think about what happens when a speaker can't get here. And I said, I've always got 2 or 3 other options in the event that I just have tried everything but charter a plane, because that's too much money, right, to get to where I need to get to. So I'll tell the client, look, I've tried everything I can. I can do 2 or 3 other things. I've got another amazing keynoter that will be able to get to you, that I trust, that will deliver great value. I can also pre-record this on an MP4 and send it to you, and you can play it that way. Or I can also do this virtually. So I give them options, and clients like options as well, when there are circumstances beyond your control. If I had left a day too late, I would not have been able to make it to my client. So I would have had to have some of those additional options as well. Either that, or if the client had some flexibility to be able to change it. But when it's a conference, no flexibility. Yep, you got to be ready. The other thing I want to talk to you about today is some tools. About 16 tools and key resources that we all need to help streamline our businesses and our back office operations, to help optimize all of our time and our energy and our effort and our money, and also to increase profitability. So let's talk a bit about the intake call. You get a call from the client. Tell me how that goes. What are some of the things that you are asking for in order to sort of assess whether or not, 1, this is the right fit, and 2, is this something that you really want to do? Tell me, what are some of the things you do when you get that intake call? How's that go? Yeah. Budget. Okay. Who's the audience? Yes.
Outcome. Why me?
Why me? Okay. How did you find me? I always ask, who referred me, or how did you find me? Sometimes it's through LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Carol, for sharing all of that. Don't go look at my LinkedIn. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I appreciate it if you do, because I've tried to incorporate a lot of what you shared today. But LinkedIn is really, really key and critical. You may have a website, but professional leaders, speakers, bureaus are also on LinkedIn as well, too. I get about 20 or 30% of my business just from posting videos or posting articles or sharing some news or that kind of thing. So don't shy away from LinkedIn. It's a professional networking. I mean, some of the people that are on LinkedIn will not be on my Facebook page, right? Because Facebook is more personal. Good. Yes. What are some of the others?
Outcome.
Yes. What outcomes are you looking for? Good. What else?
Your team's pain points.
Yeah. What are your team's pain points? What are some of the things you're experiencing? What else? Would you have? Yeah, who's some of your previous speakers? I always love that. Why do we need to know that? Why would that be important? Content?
Price.
Budget, price. Who? Right, because if I've got somebody like a Les Brown, who's my mentor, has been my mentor for the last 22 years, my speech coach and friend, if I know they had Les Brown last year, I know they got a budget. And I kind of know what kind of speakers they're looking for as well, too. Good. What else do you ask? The theme. That's a really important one as well, too. What is the theme? Absolutely. And obviously someone said budget. That's not usually my first question, but I do want to know if I'm even in their range. Yeah, Jermaine.
I asked, is there anything that I should stay away from?
Okay, good. Anything I should stay away from? So some of these questions are questions you would ask when you get hired to speak. And then some of the questions are questions that you're asking to even determine if it's a right fit. Then what you want to do too is how are you pitching yourself? So all of these that you just asked me are things you want to know from the client. But how do you pitch yourself? So what's your pitch? If you want to get full fee, here's some things that I offer. And here's some things that I request. First of all, I want to make sure that they're going to be able to pay my full fee, right? But I also let them know I'm going to be delivering to you an amazing keynote. It will be memorable, right? I also offer to them, now I'm a day rate speaker. I know some people may do it by the hour, but I give them my day because I can't be in Minnesota today, California this afternoon, and DC, tonight. So they get my full day. So I make it worth their time. A lot of clients, is interesting, they don't have speakers that give them that value. So they give them that one speaker fee. They're in and out. My client finds value in being with me the whole day. So I offer executive or VIP sessions. They love that. So if they got senior executives or the president and CEO or some special sponsors that are going to be there, that's the executive session that I have, and it makes it feel more intimate. So I get there early in enough time. I may do that. I always do a 1-minute promo video to help promote the event. So I'm part of their marketing team now. I'll do a 1-minute video and I'll say, hey, this is Dr. Shirley Davis, and I am so excited that I am coming to Minneapolis, Minnesota to the NSA to talk to you about how to kill the keynote, but also how to make sure your business doesn't die. I look forward to being with you. If you haven't registered yet, do it right now, because I'm going to come and I want you to come to listen, learn, and leverage some of the tips, tools, and techniques that I'm going to be providing. I can't wait to see you. And I'll give them the date. They love that. That took 1 minute. But they put it on their promo sites. They send it out in their email marketing. And my job is to help them be successful, not only to deliver a successful keynote, but to help their program have value. I also promote their event on my e-platforms. So if you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see I put out there, hey, I am here in Minnesota and I can't wait to talk about this topic, right? So that's out there. By doing those kinds of things, it's promoting you and them. That one, you're in demand, you're busy, here's some of the topics you're talking about, and also the client gets an opportunity to get the information. Articles, I always love to provide articles in their publications or on their website. Why? More visibility. And our goal and role is to stay visible, right, and to add value. I also ask them for a referral because for me, I'm not just only a keynoter, I have a full service global consulting, coaching, training, teaching organization. I've got 10 people that work on my team. We do organizational assessments and audits and leadership assessments and coaching. We do strategic planning. We do training workshops and seminars. We do year-long leadership academies. So I'm not just a keynoter, but I want to be a part of the procurement. So I ask them about how the process works to become a approved provider. So inside of these organizations, these large global organizations, then when someone across the department or in another unit is looking for a speaker, a training, a workshop, or anything like that, when you are an approved provider, that comes up. So I'm positioning myself for longer term opportunities. But in addition to that, I also offer them a 1-hour follow-up webinar. Now these are, again, paying my full fee. This is what you get. Do you think that whenever you are in competition with another speaker, that they're offering all of this? My clients are blown away and they're like, wow, We've never had anyone offer to do a follow-up webinar. I was talking to one yesterday, and they've got over 3,000 people that I'm going to be speaking to in November. And yesterday was a logistics call. And I was like, hey, have you decided on what the 1 hour follow-up webinar will be? What the title on top? And they were like, oh, yeah, we forgot about that. That's awesome. So why do I offer that? What's the value in doing that? It's not going to hurt. It's a 1 hour, 1 hour. But if you got 2,000 and 3,000 people and you can get a third or a half of them to come to a webinar, that's my opportunity to spend more time with them, to continue to show my value, the expertise that I bring. And these people in these conferences are coming from organizations of all sizes, sectors, industries, and experiences and budgets. I also do an Ask the Speaker. I offer to do that. So not only do I do a keynote, but if I'm going to be there, I might that morning do a VIP session, breakfast, lunch and learn, chat and chew, right? Then I'll do the keynote at the conference. And then after the conference is over, after my session is over, especially when it's, those conferences that are over 2 or 3 days, I'm there. And if I have time, I offer to do a follow-up like a concurrent. So as part of the concurrence, they'll add me to the lineup, and it's just to ask the speaker session. Because in your keynotes, you don't always get a chance to allow people to ask a lot of questions. You may get 2 or 3, but then they get to come to the session and learn a little bit more, take a little bit of a deeper dive. So I offer those as well. I always offer takeaway resources. I even ask them if they have swag bags, because I'd like to put in a one-pager, even if it's my one sheet or if it's an upcoming event that I'm doing or my leadership academies that we can bring to your organization. And then 2, I ask them for client testimonials. Would you agree, and it's part of my contract, that after it's all over, that you will provide a written testimonial about the value that I brought to your organization or to your conference? And then 2, would you be willing to also refer me to others that you know could use this? Yes, question.
Thank you so much for sharing. Just a question about the Ask the Speaker. If you do it as a breakout after a keynote, do you tend to you just show up and answer questions, or do you have another script you go through?
So I'll show up, and just in case they're a shy group and they don't have a lot of questions, I have some already. And it's a follow-up to say, so in the morning session, I was talking about some of those multiple streams of revenue. Tell me a little bit about some of the revenue streams you have, right? So I'll take it a little bit further. What are some of the obstacles that you're facing? So I get them to talk and get more comfortable. But rarely have I had those Ask the Speaker sessions where people didn't come ready to ask questions. Yep. But if they don't, have an opportunity now to have them deeper dive, break them up into groups, have them answer certain questions, and use it as a debrief session. Yeah, thanks for that question. And please feel free to ask questions throughout, right? Because I'm going to be working through a lot of content before our break, and then we'll come back and finish up. So asking for client referrals and the email list of attendees. Now, this one is tricky because a lot of times they don't like to do that because people don't want to be spammed. I get that, but I promise to them it will be a one-time outreach. To one, thank them for coming, to reinforce what we talked about, and to share with them some additional services that we offer that will allow us to take a deeper dive in their organizations. And they're usually okay with that, a one email outreach. Because I don't like to be spammed either. And I hate it when people sell my information and I have not gotten my permission. I even don't like speakers when they know what your email is. They just automatically put you on their speaker email list and spam you. So I always block. So, all right. No, I'm just kidding. I don't block, but I do unsubscribe, right? So you shouldn't, I'm just giving you just like an ethical thing. Don't get in the habit of just spamming people if you haven't asked them permission. So for example, if people subscribe to on your newsletter or on your website and there's a sign up, that's different from people opting in. But if you happen to just be at an event and somebody's giving you their card and you're just talking, now all of a sudden you put them into your CRM. That's not nice, right? You haven't given them that permission. So just, again, my 2 cents on that one. So the other thing too with the intake speech, let's say they don't pay your full fee. You gonna say no?
No.
No, not always. So I always start with, look, what you don't want to do is never lowball yourself. I'm not big on starting on the clearance rack. because there's nowhere to go from there. Right? You can't start at the clearance rack and then all of a sudden now you want to charge them retail prices. I start at the retail. If you ever go into a very high-end department store, clearance is not up front. It's either way in the back or in the basement. So you want to start with your retail price. And unapologetically, this is what my fee is. Here's all the things you'll get for my fee. But Ross taught me this. And I appreciate it because Ross does is more keynotes than anybody I know. But that's what his business is. His model is all keynotes and nothing else. But that's what he wants to do, and he travels all over the world. But one of the things Ross taught me was there are other ways that people can pay you other than just, just your fee. So he really taught me this. So what he taught me was if they're not paying your full fee, less than fee. Now, I'm not going to go down to 50% off. Right? But maybe my fee is 20,000 tomatoes. And they only have a budget of 17.5 or maybe even 15 tomatoes. 15,000 tomatoes, not 15 tomatoes. But what I do, I still offer them an amazing keynote. But then I'll ask them for some things that could offset and compensate for the lack of my full fee. I mean, it's amazing to be able to get a full page ad if you can, if they got a program booklet or a full page on their website, because most people now use websites. Everything's kind of gone online. Placement on their website. So there may be, for example, an upcoming event I have, or I'll have one of my leadership academies. Like now, I just rolled out a brand new membership site. Everything you ever wanted, like all the templates, tools, and all of that kind of thing, if you want to transform your culture. That would be something that I would place on their website for their members or for those registrants. An email list of attendees, yes. Even an exchange of company products. So again, what Ross was telling me, and I did this. I was speaking at the Wyndham Grand Hotel. They could not afford all of my fees. So you know what I did? I said, okay, then here's the offset of that. I would love it if then I could have credit coupons, right, to be able to stay at any of your Wyndham Grands around the country, in particular the ones in Bahamas, right down there in the Caribbean. And they actually did it. They gave me 10 free stays of their Wyndham Grand resorts around the country, and I had to use them within a year. I did. That wasn't going to be a problem. But those are some things that you might be able to do, right? So think about creative ways. The other thing to know is that not all budgets are speaker budgets. So sometimes they have a speaker budget, but they also could purchase some of your books. And that's a different budget. That comes out of like training and education sometimes versus the speaker budget. So I have found that they were like, oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, we could do that. So like last week, they bought 150 of my books because they could not afford my full speaker fee, which is perfect. And then a donation to my foundation. That's another thing. And they love that because they love being able to give back. And I'm sharing with them, here are some of the things that my foundation does. It's nonprofit and it's tax deductible. 501c3. So these are just some creative ways that if you don't get your full fee, there are ways that you could still say yes and. Make sense? Questions on that? Yes.
Actually, it's on the previous slide. For a testimonial, and maybe Carol comment, would you ask for a LinkedIn recommendation or a testimonial for your website? You feel like one is better than the other? Or?
Yeah. So I just asked for a general testimonial. I have had them send it to me in the emails, and I let them know that it may show up on some of my social media platforms, and it may show up on some of my brochures and collateral, but it also will be on my website. Yes. That and. Yeah.
Well, because they have to write the LinkedIn recommendation. You can't post the testimonial.
And I don't necessarily need it for LinkedIn more than I like it for my website and other social media. Like on LinkedIn, they may not put it there, but I can. So if they say that, I'll say, I was speaking at Coca-Cola, and here's some of the feedback that they said. I just put it in a post. Okay. Yeah, can do that. Yeah.
I do a lot of work with governments, and so...
Me too, yeah. Local and state or the federal?
All of them.
Okay, good.
And they're, most of the time, they don't want their names associated.
Correct.
with anything.
Correct.
So what what's your recommendation for that?
I do. I use them and don't tell their names, but I'll just say from a federal government agency or a local government agency. You're right. They don't like to do that, and I get that. That's part of their government rules. So I can still do it without calling their names. The other thing about clients is many of them don't want you using their logos either. They feel like that's an infringement. And so I don't use their logos, but I do use their name. I'll say Senior Vice President at Coca-Cola and not use their logo. Everybody knows what Coca-Cola is. Yeah. Yes.
So I have these two problems. The first problem is that I've been speaking for over 14 years in Africa. I'm new in America. I have difficulties charging my clients. So I don't know whether I'm have to charge them based on my African experience or based in the present context.
Yeah.
The second problem is that my clients have difficulties understanding my articulation. So I will talk and they're like, sorry, I'm not getting what you're saying. Can you say that again? Can you say that again?
Mm-hmm.
At times I'm like, I have to write down what I want to say to give to the client to read, to understand.
Yeah.
So what advice can you give me?
It's good advice. Yeah. Thank you for asking that.
Continent,
Yeah.
unlike where I've been speaking for quite some time.
Yeah. So he's been speaking for 14 years, and he's from Africa. I think you said it was at Cameroon? Cameroon. And so now he's here speaking in the U.S., and he has a hard time making the differences of charging the fees from Africa from the U.S. And so if you're speaking in the U.S., charge U.S. fees. Right? So understand what are some of the speaker ranges, and you'll learn that through some of the work here at NSA. Now, we're not allowed to necessarily talk about what our fee is, but we've all kind of learned how to get around and code it with tomatoes or eggs or peaches and apples, right? And so we know what that means, right? But if you're getting coached, though, they can also help you understand. The other thing, though, a great resource if you really want to know how to really price yourself is to do a lot of due diligence and some competitive intelligence. So go look at other speakers who are at your level or maybe a level above. You can do a lot of this on eSpeakers because you have to publish your ranges on eSpeakers. You can also do it if you go to a number of the speaker bureaus, and they have the ranges of speakers on there as well. So have your ceiling, but also have your, I don't say floor because I don't want you to go that far down. Have your ceiling, but then have the top of the door. Okay? So that's that piece. The other piece around people not really always understanding your articulation, right? Because you have it's a Cameroon, but it's a bit of an accent, right? So one, I would encourage you, slow down. And I'm saying that because I've had to ask the same thing for people. Sometimes I can't always understand their dialect. And I'll say, would you mind saying that and saying it a little slower because I'm not understanding it myself, right? Put it on me. But slow down just a little bit. The other thing you may consider doing is there a partner or someone that you can work with, whether it's your virtual assistant, who doesn't have the dialect that people may struggle understanding, and let them be your spokesperson. Now, I do that and I have an American accent and dialect, but I still have someone else that takes care of all that intake for me. So you may be able to do that as well. But if you can maybe slow down a little bit, that can help them. But always thank them, for asking you, to slow down a little bit, because at least they're listening. It's that part. But then you also may want to follow up with what you said in an email, right? Articulate it in an email. But also when you are talking to them, have them go with you to your website. So I'll say, if you can access drshirleydavis.com, you'll notice here on the homepage, these are some of the services that we offer. So that way you have a reinforcement with you talking and them seeing, because people are both visual and auditory. Okay? Good. Yes?
If you're doing one of the things to offset your fee, are you still providing the full suite?
If they take it, I give it.
Okay.
So do what you're willing and able to do. What is your capacity? I have the capacity to ask for and do all of these. I have the capacity. If I'm going to be there for the day, I have the capacity to do the VIP session. I have the capacity to keynote and to do the after session thing. I have the capacity at a date that works for me to do a 1-hour webinar when it works for both of us, right? So yes, but if you can't do all of these, then don't put them on here. I'm at a place where I can. Good. Yeah, Jermaine.
So I'm one of the facilitators in the Speaker Academy. Can you just go back and visit this piece, because it's huge, and I know it hits people's mind about the fee.
Yeah.
So I love the piece that you said about the intelligence checking out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll make this statement, but love your perspective.
Yep.
So here's my concern. People, they go do their due diligence, they survey, who they think their competitors are. But sometimes I'm afraid people overinflate their competence. And so here's what I mean.
Yeah, they think they're a better speaker than they're worth getting paid for. I get that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You said it way more smoother than me.
Yeah.
I was trying to be PC.
Yeah. Yeah. I get
All
it.
right, so Dr. Davis. So here's my thing. If you ask for this
Yeah.
and you deliver here,
Yeah.
you damage your brand.
Absolutely.
So can you just expound and elaborate?
Totally agree. So when you are in the academy, or if you have, I recommend, if you're just starting out, you're less than 5 years, you really do need a speaker coach. And you really do need to go through either the academy or some kind of speaker training. You really do need to be at the NSA Influence Conference and get a chance to see a variety of different speakers and see where you are, what level you feel like you are. It is okay to get some feedback. I mean, I would, if you have like a trusted board of advisors who would give you real time info. If you go to a speaker's training, and I know several who do great jobs of that, have them tell you what they would pay for that. Because all of us, I started out at 1,500 tomatoes, and then I moved up to 2,500 peaches, and then I got up to 5,000 eggs, right? And so now I'm at 20 to 25,000 tomatoes. And so, but I know for me, I'm going to be delivering that because I've already had the chance to get the coaching, the training, the feedback. I got evaluations from clients who felt like I exceeded their expectations. So they said, I love it when people say, I got my money's worth in the first 15, 20 minutes. You gave me an idea that's going to help me to transform my business and to even increase my revenues in my company as a line leader or even as a speaker. The other thing is too, is look at some of the feedback you've been getting. If they're telling you you're killing it, you knocked it out of the park, then that should justify them to say, yeah, great speaker. But if you're just average or below average, you're going to have to start at the below. Sometimes, and I did this when I started out too, I did a bunch of free ones to see what kind of evaluations I was getting. So do it at some of the small Kiwanis clubs or some of the, the organizations that you belong to, you're a member of. Give that and get feedback, whether you're using Talkadot or your own speaker evaluation, and see what people are saying about what you did well, but what you could do better. If you're getting 80 to 90% of them saying you killed it, it was awesome, it was amazing, that can justify your speaker rating. But if you're getting clients who, and they're not inviting you back, you either have to lower your fee, right? And then also increase your effectiveness as a speaker. So no, do not go out the bat thinking that, okay, I'm good at this, I know what I'm talking about, because it's not just only about the content, it's also style of delivery. It's also the power that you bring. It is all of those other things that I just shared when I opened up that you've got to do. And you've got to be that kind of speaker, like I said, that's captivating, that's engaging, that's interactive, and that people want to hear again. So start it out again that way by doing some of the due diligence, not just on other speakers, but on yourself as well too. Yes.
Dr. Davis, you're exceptional, and it's always an honor hearing you speak now.
Thank you.
But I was wondering, on the topic of fees, so one thing that helps people to get better fees is having new videos as well. So I was curious, in your if they can't make your full fee, do you ever ask for a video as well, or is that ever something you do, especially with a lot of new speakers in the room and video is king early on?
Absolutely. I think that's part of my contract. I do not, and this is just another revenue stream, I do not give my keynotes away for free. Now, y'all are an exception because y'all are family. But if I'm going into a corporation, and I'm talking about the full fee ones, if I'm going into a corporation, you're paying me for that day. I do not allow you to record me, first, without my permission, and second, without licensing. So I sell my keynote. So I say to them, yes, for full fee, you can record it, and here is what my 6-month and my 1-year licensing fee is. Otherwise, you don't record it. And if you do record it, I require a master copy in an MP4 file within 10 days. Make sense? Then you get to use that, and I've now been using a company that when you do keynotes 45 minutes or so, that you can send it to them, and then they'll break it up into little micro snippets that you can now use it as e-learning. You can use it as just part of your opening video, you know, your sizzle reel. You can use it as that. You can use part of that to send to clients, and you can use that to put out on your social media, because you know social media, you only really need 1 to 2 minutes of a snippet of you doing a powerful keynote. That's a great way for people to see you, and a great way for you to expose yourself and get greater visibility and hopefully get more bookings. So it's a great question is yes, when you can get video. Now, if you're not getting paid full fee yet, you're just getting started out, let everybody record you. And get as much video as you can. Do it for a season until you get better, until you get paid, and then you're going to have to stop that. Because what I tell them is you're paying for my live presentation when I'm there. But you are not paying to have this for 6 months and a year, and it goes out to thousands of your employees. No, you go to all kinds of other e-learning and platform. I said you don't get Zoom for free, and you use that all the time. So no, so make sure that you know and understand how to protect your intellectual property. Yes, and then I'm going to keep going. Yeah, good questions. I love it. Yes.
This is so valuable. Thank you. Could you give us a hint as to how you price the recording, what percentage of...
Hey, she wants to know how many tomatoes. Yeah.
Do you let them record it on their platform and you just have a trust that they're going to get rid of it?
Yeah, and that's a good question too, because we've had to learn some of that, sometimes the hard way, but mostly learn that we want to have control of it. So most of the time, if it's a conference, they really do have their own platform, and you've got to trust and honor. If they're a reputable corporation, and most of them are, they know that they can't do that, because if it gets out, they're getting sued. And the fact that we have a very well-written, tight contract, they know that we have legal representation. So it does say on there that if you record this, we get a master copy, and it is only supposed to be used for what we intended it to be used for. No, and then when it's over, like their 1 year is over, we will actually do it as an auto renewal. So we'll send them an email and say, hey, we hadn't heard back from you, so we assume that you'd like to auto renew. Here's the invoice for it. And if they say no, then we will send them, okay, well, a nice cease and desist letter, so you would no longer be using our video. Okay, so that's one, and that's really important. So what we charge for, and again, I'm at a different level, but I'll give you, for me, we do like the 6 months is 5,000 tomatoes. 1 year, 10,000. Okay, every now and then for a client that I really, really, really want to impress, I'll give them 30 days complimentary, internal, behind the firewall. It can only be used for inside for 30 days. After that, it's got to come down. Or you pay for the 6 months or the 1 year. All right, good? All right, so as we're talking about the intake, let's talk a little bit about revenue streams. So at your tables, I'm going to do this, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about it. I want you at your tables to share with your table mates what are some of the key revenue streams that you currently have or that you're planning to introduce or implement in the next 6 months into 2025. Okay? Share with them what are some of the key revenue streams. Yes, we got your keynote. What else? Think about some of those, and which are those, and not only that, first question. Second question is, which of those are the most profitable and which are the least profitable? So talk about those, and then we'll take a 10:30 break. Okay? Take about 7 minutes, and then I'll come back. I want to hear from a few of you, and then we'll take a break and come back and pick it up from there. All right. And I'm going to come around and be nosy. And then what I'd like for us to do, just share with me a couple of them, and then we're going to take a break. If you want to talk over your break and continue the conversation, that's great. And then there'll be opportunities to do more. So let me hear from a few of you. Beyond your keynote, in your speaking business, what are some of the other areas that you have as revenue streams?
Book sales.
Book sales, good. Coaching. Consulting. Online courses, workshops. Assessments, good. What else?
Schools,
Was
public
it?
speaking training institutions.
Oh, you have schools that you work with? And what do you do with them?
School I'm training.
You have a school that you train? Oh, is it your school? Oh, good, okay, good. I love that. Like ours is called it's the Emerging Leaders Academy, but you got like a school. What's the name of your school?
The Texas Institute of Public Speaking.
The Texas
Institute of Public
Institute of,
Public Speaking.
oh, public speaking, okay. He got a whole public speaking institute. I love it. Good, what else?
Licensing and certification?
Good, excellent. Y'all got a lot of them. And so, most profitable, which ones? Oh, so y'all have a lot of them that you've identified. Which ones are your most profitable ones? Consulting? Workshops?
Financing.
Was it?
Financing.
Financing? That's a profitable one for you?
Yes, family financing.
Family financing. Okay. What else?
Coaching.
Coaching. Any others? Radio? Video. Oh, video. Okay, good. So is yours like video where?
Video follow-ups.
Oh, follow-ups. And so you send those to people and they have to pay for them? Oh, good. You know what's becoming really, really popular too is what we call digestible or micro-learning, right? So gone are those long 30 and 40-minute videos for people to watch. You notice that, and this model really was, I think, innovated through LinkedIn Learning, right? And I'm a 9-time LinkedIn Learning author, which is actually one of my most profitable revenue streams. I mean, I could live on that one alone because I've got 9 courses and I just keep doing them. And that's sometimes, we've got some people who do that. That's their full-time job, is just to keep doing LinkedIn Learning courses. And I was like, you know what, that's not a bad thing because then it actually turns into pajama money. I mean, because once you write the course, you deliver the course online, the course is now forever out there. LinkedIn does all of the promotions and the marketing of it. I help them, but when you got that many courses on there, then you know, through their algorithm, you get paid a royalty every month. So I just live off of that. And everything else is gravy, right? So opportunity there, yeah.
How long are those videos?
Yes, good question. So they usually don't like them to be any more than 2 to 3 minutes. Micro learning, but it might be 15 videos in one course, but they are no more than 2 to 3 minutes. So that's what we call digestible learning or micro learning. That's becoming so much more popular now. Any others profitable, most profitable revenue stream for you? Yeah.
Also panel discussion, being able to either be a panelist or moderate a panel as opposed to doing a keynote.
Okay.
Is another revenue stream.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing a panel or being the moderator, or I heard someone back at this table who was an MC. That's also another revenue stream. Good. We got a number of MCs, like like Brian Walter is like one of the major ones. Quinn Conyers is another one that does major. That's her full-time kind of bread and butter is doing MCs. Yeah.
So I just have a revenue stream that I want to share that's kind of different in a sense. In addition to being a speaker, I'm also an actor. And so I've been hired by nonprofit organizations to come to their conferences and perform their client stories. And so,
Wow. So you do what? You bring their stories to life?
Exactly.
So another one of her revenue streams is acting and bringing the stories to telling the stories or acting the stories out and bringing it to life. Okay, good. Yes.
What about promote your business? Like getting paid to speak, but also people get to know your business.
Yeah, getting paid to speak and they get to know your business, but they need to know too what part of your business can they use as a service, right? And so knowing which of those services is your most profitable. It's also important to know too which one is most profitable and least profitable. And we do this every year because sometimes you have to make a decision to sunset some stuff. It sounded like a great idea. It rolled out. It had its moment in time, and now it's no longer as profitable. So we've had to learn how to do some of those as well. But every time we sunset something, I'm bringing in something else, right? So constantly thinking about new ways to streamline, but also to repurpose. Look, I took a membership site and went back to 10 years worth of all of this content and stuff that I created, repurposed it, and now it's a part of a membership site. So it's kind of like the NSA's digital vault. So it's our digital vault for certain practitioners. Hey, this is everything you need, checklists and frameworks and models and assessments and all kinds of things that you can get feedback on, surveys, all of that. So we're giving it away. I'm at my, as I was just sharing with my sister here, is I am in my give back season. I'm in my create my legacy season, right? So I've been out here for 25, 35 years. And so now I'm at a place where she's like, you're so authentic. Yep, you're just giving so much. That's my goal. I don't have to hoard. I don't, for me, I've just not been that kind of person that I feel like you're my competitor, so I can't tell you anything. No, I have learned how to walk in my own gift. I've learned how to be comfortable with my specific talent, that nobody else can do it like I can do it. I know that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and that there are certain things that have been put in me, they are not in you. And so I'm going to do me, right? And I'm going to do it well, do it with excellence. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jill. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and pick this up. And I'll share with you my revenue streams as well. Great. Thank you.
Wasn't this amazing?
Thank you all. Thank you all. Has this been valuable in the first half for you? Thank you for those 3 claps. So what I would love to do is, I would love, while people are coming in from getting their drinks and their bio breaks, let me just get a few of you, if you would, tell me so far in the first hour, what has been your takeaway? What has been your real value that you're like, this is my golden nugget? Yes.
All this other stuff.
Yeah. How to be around, be available, be visible, be seen, heard. And when you do that, you get so much, right? For me, that's my marketing strategy, right? I don't do cold calls. That's just not my thing. But when I go, I'm going to maximize it and be there and talk to as many people I can and be seen as much as I can and be in the room with the decision makers. Thank you for sharing that. Other golden nuggets, takeaways so far? Yes.
Where you are in this world and what you're supposed to be doing, and just being authentic.
Yeah. Work your brand you, right? Be your biggest cheerleader, your biggest advocate. Know who you are and be comfortable with that. When you get comfortable with yourself, it comes across. So when I get 5 and 6 of you saying you are so authentic and it's contagious, that's why. Because I am so, right now, I'm self-evolved. I know who I am. I know what I'm called to do. I know what my gifts are, and I stay in my lane. Yeah, yes.
I'm a new member.
Woo, 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 welcome. Is this your first meeting?
My first meeting.
What?
Yeah, well, the intake slides paid for my annual dues.
Woo! That's awesome. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sharing with you all what people have shared with me and what I've learned over the years. And I'm not selling anything today. I'm not selling anything. I'm not selling books today. I'm not selling a program. I am here to give and to deposit. Thank you for that. That means a lot to me. And all of the comments. What else did you walk away with, take away as your golden nugget? Yes?
The non-full fee opportunity.
Yeah, non-full fee.
Like full page, or like a full page ad in
Yeah.
publication.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, how do they add value back to you if they can't pay your full fee? Good, 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 good. Yes.
Mine was also under that, but that I can use my book to have them purchase those and offset the speaker fee.
Absolutely. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, how to charge in the new market.
Yeah, in a new market, right? Absolutely. Love it. What else? And yes.
Yeah, I like the idea of arriving early and connecting, the audience.
Yeah, arrive early, right? That's kind of like a duh. Yeah, and maximize your time when you get there, right? And get to meet people and let people get to know you. It also helps with nerves. Like when you get there early and you get to meet people and you look out in the audience and you find the ones you talk to, and that kind of is a good way to relate to people and ease your anxiety. Yes, that's right.
Mine is less of the kind of the practical aspects, but more of the just showing up with your heart.
Yeah.
And just how, you just resonate energy. It's incredible, and I feel just like I can see you, and there's an energy there.
Like we are
And
here.
yeah. That part is very, very powerful.
Yes.
Thank
And,
you.
I mean, for so long, when I spoke, I would always speak about stuff, right? Rather than you just kind of showing up.
What's in your heart? You don't forget your heart. What's in your heart? When we speak, we have to speak from the heart, not just only from our heads. Right? The head is trying to remember all the tactics and the techniques and the statistics and the data. But the heart is the stories, it's the experiences, it's the things that you've learned, right? Those setbacks, right? And so for me, all of the stuff that I go through in my life, I realize it's not just for me to be a better person, but it really is for me as a gift to give to someone else who hasn't been through it yet, but will need to know how to go through it. So I've learned how to leverage the losses. I've learned how to leverage the leftovers, and I've learned how to leverage the lessons in life. Yeah.
I would like to switch what Todd said in a scientific term. I love your high frequency.
She calls it high frequency. Okay, I like that word.
Yes.
High frequency.
That is transferable, and also your enthusiasm.
My enthusiasm.
Authenticity.
Thank you. That's spoken well from a scientist. I love it. Yes.
I have a takeaway/question.
Okay.
So at Thrive last year, I was inspired, and I've been working on 3-tier pricing. So
Yeah.
like standard, full service, and value.
Okay.
And so a lot of really good ideas of things that like I would put in a full service package. So
Yeah.
like all these extra things.
Uh-huh.
What are some of the things you talked about today that you would not compromise, that would still, like you're gonna do it even if it's just in the standard or the value? Like what are the...
I'm always going to give you an amazing keynote.
Yes.
I don't underestimate that. I always give the 1-minute promo because I know that that's going to be value for them and it's value for me as well.
Okay.
So I don't undersell that. I mean, I'm okay if they don't want to do a 1-hour webinar afterwards. I'm okay if they don't want to give me their email list because I understand that that might be for some, and others it's against the rules and stuff. I may give up the VIP session, but I'd love to do that. I'd rather do a VIP session, though, than I ask the speaker. Because the VIP session are all the executives who likely have the pen to write the check, right? So that's one that you want to keep as well. All right, one more, and then we'll go on and finish up. Yes? Yeah.
One of them is the storytelling and how important that is.
Yes.
All of us have stories. And
You do.
I need to learn to do that. The other thing is the micro-learning, just adding value in a very short period of time.
That's right. So even from today, like I'm going to ask Jill and them to send me a copy of today's video. There's going to be a couple of moments that I'll pull out of this, and I'll use that and just put it out on social media. And a lot of times what I'll do is just do a quick little blog around it, or put out a quick article or something like that as well. But all you need is like a 2 or 3 minute quick snippet from, and it could just be any point and moment where you felt like, wow, that was awesome. I had to drop my own mic, right? So you can put those out there on social media as well. But always be leveraging all the things that you do. Put it out there so that the world can see you. One of our biggest issues is that while we're not getting booked as much is because you're your biggest kept secret. So you have to be your secret weapon, but you can't be the biggest kept secret. You got to get it out there. So if you're not one that likes technology, hire somebody that does. If you don't know all of the social media sites, if you don't like TikTok and you don't like Instagram and you don't like LinkedIn and you don't like Facebook, you're going to have to do a whole lot of cold calling. But it's easier if you're out there and engaging. I engage like this with my social media followers. I've got over 55,000 followers, but I engage with them. So it's important for you to add value, give value back. Sometimes I just go on LinkedIn, I just go live. Say, hey, I'm just going here. Here's the topic of the day. I know that October is Disability Awareness Month. So let's talk a little bit about some of our mental awareness issues that we're dealing with at work and at home and in the communities. Let's talk about it. And then people will just come on, we just start talking, and I'm just giving out value. Okay, do some of those. Okay, let's talk revenue streams. So many of you in here have already hit on some of these. I recognize that we've got a lot of new members here today who have not. done anything relative to a business, creating a business. Some of you still work full time. Some of you are doing this off the side of your desk. And I did a lot of this off the side of my desk when I was still working full time, even at SHRM. And then I just worked my exit strategy for about 3 years until I got to a place where I could afford to be out on my own. So I'm not telling anybody jump and grow your wings on the way down without first calculating the cost. Okay? That's important. It's important to jump. I mean, Les Brown used to always tell me that, Shirley, he was like, if you don't get out there and jump and grow your wings on the way down. And I didn't understand what all of that meant. It's like, jump, oh my God, I got to do this. He was like, you got so much education. He said, you got all these certifications. You got all this experience. He said, I've been training you for the last 10 years. You got to go. It's time for you to jump. And I'm so glad that he told me that, but I also had to have a plan, right? So I worked my exit strategy for 3 years, meaning I saved up money, I got out of debt, I made sure that I was doing the due diligence, I went and got training, I got mentors, I got my family right, I got people out of my life that were negative noise, right? I had a lot of things I wanted to do, and then once I did that, it helped me to be successful faster than to just jump out there and figure out, right? Because the first 1 to 3 years in anybody's business is the toughest, and it's when 75 to 80% of the businesses fail because you jump out there trying to figure it out. Figure it out while you're in your plan B right now until you can make it your plan A. Okay, my speaking business and running my own corporation was my plan A, but I was at plan B. And it's all good. Be at plan B until you can do your plan A. And then when you get in your plan A, that is your happy place. So when you get in your happy place, this is what you get. The energy, the enthusiasm, the high frequency. I love it. That's like high octane. That's like supreme, super unleaded, right? It's all of those. So in addition to keynotes, right, some of you already hit them. So here are mine, and I think most of you hit some too. Licensing, yes, we talked a little bit about licensing, so I do offer licensing. On-demand courses. So I have a Thinkific site, and I also have a Kajabi site, and my online courses are here. But I also have LinkedIn learning courses. So a lot of what I'll sell people. Let me tell you what I do. This is Ninja right here. It's a Ninja move. When I am selling some of my stuff to my clients, my services and my products, and I have to do workshops, and I'll do like the Leadership Academy, some of it I require them to do pre-work. And when I know that they're a corporation and most likely have a LinkedIn Learning subscription, look, because I get paid royalties for people taking my LinkedIn Learning courses. So the prerequisite is you have to take this LinkedIn Learning course on Leadership Foundations, and then we'll do the workshop. Okay, so I do a both and a and. I give them, even sometimes I will give them chapters from my book in a PDF, a chapter, and say, this is an excerpt from my book on living beyond whatever, or reinventing yourself, whatever it is, right? And so that gives them an inkling to do more. Now, what I've been doing now with my Leadership Academy is I have made my latest book, which is Inclusive Leadership for Dummies. That's actually the reference and the book that we use. So the company has to buy the book for all of the leaders to go through the Leadership Academy. That's some ninja stuff right there, right? So that's the kind of thing that you want to do. That's strategic. That's strategic. So always be thinking about how you can repurpose everything that you have, right? So why am I going to give them John Maxwell's book? Mine is good too, right? It was a bestseller on Amazon, so use some of those options and opportunities as well. I also do workshops and learning paths, right? So when leaders, we take them through, I go through a keynote or we'll take them through a workshop, but we also take them on a 1-year learning journey. Learning path. I got that from LinkedIn. LinkedIn has learning paths. So I was like, oh, we can do the same thing. So I have a series of 8 courses that we take them through. So once a month, we meet with them. In between time, they have homework, pre-work to do, or post-work after the class. But we take them through a 1 year using my course. One of those are LinkedIn Learning. Using my books. One of them is a LinkedIn Learning course. But we literally have learning paths. So you can create those as well, too, and make it a year long. We also have merchandise. So we sell everything from Me Care packages. We have books, yes. We've got T-shirts. We've got hats. We've got candles. Because I talk a lot about the importance of Me Care. Self-care is not selfish. And if you're going to reinvent yourself, it starts with you. And so a lot of that, we sell that kind of merchandise. We do webinars. I've got coaching programs. We have books. Yes, I talked about the LinkedIn Learning courses, but wait, there's more. I do have others. So these are other things that we do. We apply to long-term contracts. So there's RFPs out there. There are companies, you know this if you said you work in government. The government has a lot of programs that are out there. Some of them are even specifically set aside for women-owned, minority-owned, veterans-owned businesses. And they have specific dollars and budgets set aside for some of them who don't usually traditionally get access and opportunities to bid on different proposals. So we actually have gotten long-term, like 1 year, 2 year. I've got one that's been a 5-year contract with a client, large global bottling company that everybody would know. So we've been working with them for years because of some of the RFPs. We've gotten state, local, and government contracts because we go out on, there's a number of websites that you can go out on that you can find where where companies are posting. The other blessing, remember you heard me say in the intake pitch, one of the things I want is to be approved provider. I want to do a master service agreement and get into their system and their supply chain. That's one of the reasons, because then when there's a need that comes up, if your keywords are in there under leadership, human resources, strategy, inclusion, culture, if that comes up, they send you the RFP. So that gives us opportunities to apply and hopefully win the contracts. Brain dates, we do that. I offer brain dates. How many times have y'all had people say, I need to pick your brain? All the time, and that means I just want to get some free advice from you, but I'm going to use up your time for 30 minutes, and I might not do half the stuff you tell me to do. So what I started doing was monetizing my brain. I was like, sure, we do. You can pick my brain. We have a 1 hour fee, and it's a brain date. You just tell us ahead of time the 2 or 3 topics that you want to talk to. I want to be prepared so that I can meet your needs, and then we do brain dates. But I also do that with leadership teams. We'll just do a little small, no more than 8 people. And we'll do a 1 hour brain date group coaching or consulting session. They love it. And it's their time to intimately, I do it with CEOs and their executive teams. I do it with boards, and I do it with mid-level managers and their line leaders. And they find it very helpful. I do it with HR teams, intact teams, project teams. Amazing. So that's just like pajama money there. And then e-learning bundles. So we started doing this as well too. So we have e-learning. I've got about 10 e-learning courses that we do on our Kajabi site, or our Thinkific site. And I said, you know what? We had a client that came to us and said, we want to purchase 5 of your e-learning courses. And they were all individual prices. And I was like, why don't we just do this as a bundle? Right? And so they have to buy all 8 of them, right, for this price. Or if they buy 2 or 3, they might as well have bought the bundle because it's not worth it economically. So we started doing more of those. And then we charge clients to do customization. So for example, one of our clients bought the bundle of e-learnings, right? And we said, well, we'll customize it. So if you want us to integrate your values, your mission statement, your vision statement, we'd love even to have, if you can get your CEO to do a 2 or 3 minute video, send it to us. We'll add that into the course, right? And we'll interject a few pieces of the company so it looks like your stuff. So we charge for that by the hour, client customization. We also now do I've got a membership site now, got subscriptions that people can purchase. We do a train-the-trainer, so we're getting ready to do one in January with a client who just said we have 15 facilitators across the country, and we want them all to learn how to do this kind of sales training. So we're going to do a train-the-trainer. We actually develop the material for them, mission, vision, their values, their language, their nomenclature, all of that. We customize it, and then we take them through the certification process, and then we license it out to them for a year. So that's one of our most profitable ones right there.
I have a question. You're saying we.
I have a team of 10 people.
I was asking, what, just briefly, can you give us kind of a framework of what your team is made up of?
Yes, so good question. So when I say we, I have one of the best senior managers of operations. And I'm going to talk a little bit about her in just a second. She started out as a part-time personal assistant. And I realized that her skills and gifts and talents that she brought were invaluable. I didn't want to lose her. So I said, if you can stay on for just 20 hours a week, which is what I could afford at the time, about 7 years ago, And I said, if you help me build this business, if you do those kinds of minutia things that I can't do, the administrative and operational stuff I don't have time to do, and I need to be doing other stuff, I said, if you help me to build it, I can build this into a full-time position for you. And within 18 months, she was full-time. So I brought her on, not just anymore as my personal assistant, but I was like, she is running a lot of my operations at my business. She was phenomenal. And so I hired her on there, and over the last 3 to 4 years, she not only came on as the full-time, I named her early on, she was full-time personal assistant, executive assistant. Then I moved her into operations, so she became a operations manager. Now she's our senior manager, and she's been with me now 7 years, November the 1st. She is amazing, and so I don't want to lose her, so I keep asking her, how you doing? What else do you need? How can I support? So one of the things she said, listen to this, it's so important. When you have somebody that invaluable that is helping you to do what you need to do, I told her, I said, I need to get to the place where I only need to do 3 things. I need to develop content, I need to deliver that content, and I got to close deals. If you can let me do these 3 things and you do all the other stuff, I don't want to do QuickBooks. I don't want to run the CRM. I don't want to do all the intake calls. I don't want to do contracts, and I don't want to do invoicing. That's stuff that you can be doing for me. So she does all of that. But when I asked her, what do you need? What's taking up a lot of your time? What's zapping your energy? What are you not motivated to do? She was like, if I can get some help on managing your website, because you got like 4, now I've opened up 4 businesses, right? And so she's like, you got like 4 different websites, right? So I was like, okay, cool. She could do it, but it was taking up too much of her time. So I listened. And I said, okay, we need to hire somebody. So I went out on Facebook and our NSA page, and I was like, does anybody have a really good WordPress website manager that can do a multi-site management piece? And one of my good friends, Anton Gunn, gave me an amazing recommendation. And we just hired her last week. And so that took something off of her plate. She said, I'm spending too much time on all of the expenses and stuff. I really need somebody that can really help do all the bookkeeping stuff. I can do the invoicing in QuickBooks, but I need somebody that's got all these expenses and reconcile all your accounts to this. Oh, okay, you bookkeeper. I went out there and found me a bookkeeper because what I didn't want to do is lose her, because it would set my business back. So always get great talent, leverage them where they belong, but when they tell you that something is zapping their energy, that's a sign, right? You want to retain them. So I do whatever I can to make Teresa happy, right? So I've even now gone to the place where she's got benefits now. So I take care of her benefits package. And then 2, anytime she asks me for time off, I was like, you don't even have to ask. Whatever you want, whatever you like, right? It's one of my favorite movies. But yeah, she is amazing. So that's who I'm talking about. So I got her. I have someone else who is a manager of external events. So she handles all of the intake calls. She'll handle all of the logistics of what's needed for when I'm going to speak at those large conferences. She'll make sure the books get shipped or the merchandise gets shipped out ahead of time. She makes sure that they know what I need to sign the books and all of that kind of stuff. So I have that person. And then I have the 10 senior consultants who are the ones that do everything from the assessments to the coaching to the brain dates to the training workshops and all of that. What my job is, I do keynotes and stuff like this. I get to pick what I want to speak on, what I want to speak. I only have 2 other people on my team that are phenomenal keynoters. Not as good as I am, but they're good enough. I mean, they know that. They're good enough. And everybody else was like, I want to get out there and talk to 10,000 people. I'm good just being behind the scenes doing a workshop virtually. I'm good with just doing a focus group. I'm good with doing the employee engagement surveys. So know where your people need to be, put them in the right seats, and they will help take your business to the next level. Good question. And then the other things too, we have a colleague and a staff referral program. This was another amazing move on my part. So my team, I built them in 2014, handpicked them, didn't do a cattle herd. But I picked people that I knew their skills, but more importantly, I knew their character. I didn't want people that was going to be on my team that wanted to speak and want to take all of my stuff and then leave and use all of my stuff. But I handpicked people that I know, like, and trust. That's important. Know, like, and trust. So what I also said to them is you need to have skin in the game. You need to have skin and investment into this company's success. So you are required at least once a year, every year you are required to at least give 3 referrals. So you need to be out there as well too. You got to help this company be successful as well. If you want to stay employed, then you're going to also have to help us grow. So you're all across the country. Some of them are located outside of the U.S. And I said to them, you need to give us some referrals where you're in. You're in different organizations. You're at different conferences, different events. You got a different network than I do online. You need to be sending us some referrals as well. Guess what I do when they give us referrals? Then once they give us the referral, I give them a referral fee, a percentage of what we close the deal on. So then they get put on that project and they get the referral fee. So it's a good incentive, right? So I want them to be, to have skin in the games too. That's how we continue to grow. The other thing too, customized toolkits, we do those, especially after we've done an assessment. We give recommendations to the client on what they need to do. Then we help them do the implementation plan. We take them through the strategic planning on how then do you build a high performing, we call it a welcome winning world-class workplace. How do you do that? Right? And so we take them through strategic planning, but then we're helping them to implement the recommendations that we made. And guess what? 3 or 4 of those recommendations is always that you need more training and development. And most of the time they do. Yeah. Right? And so that gives us another opportunity to work with them on a longer term basis. And then lastly, partnerships and alliances. I have a number of clients, a number of colleagues and friends, consulting friends, speaking friends, that only speak on certain topics. So those that I know, like, and trust that are very close to me, I said to them, if you have clients that need this particular expertise and you know that's not your area of expertise, if you refer them to me, we'll do a revenue split. There are some that have bought me in. They're working with clients on long-term contracts, and the client wants to do an engagement survey, the voice of the employees. They don't do that. They don't do certain leadership assessments. So they bring us in, and so we work, they subcontract us to work with them, and they're the primary contractor with their client. So I say, don't ever say no to a client that you can't do something. Say yes, and I'm going to be bringing in a strategic partner that will help us to do this. And that way we can all eat the same, eat the pie. It's just a bigger slice of pie. So that's another way of how we've been able to have extra money coming in is we get big contracts and I will split it off with, we'll do a revenue split with the partner. Yeah, yes.
The revenue split in the colleague referral program, how many gerbils would that be?
It depends on that. That one is depends because sometimes your contract could be 75,000 tomatoes. It could be 200,000 tomatoes. So every time we invoice the client, because remember, we do it in phases and stages. You don't do everything at one time. We're trying to make it a long-term contract. So we might do a couple of workshops first, or we might do the upfront assessment first. Every time we invoice the client along the way, then we will send them a check and thank them for the referral from that client that we got paid again. Yeah, but usually somewhere between 10-15%. Okay?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Any other questions on that before we finish up? So then I'm going to end with this. This is the key resources. So you asked the question, which is a great question, of who are you talking about? Who is we? Because I know a lot of times we start out as me, myself, and I. So that's the we. It's me, myself, and I. And I did too, and it never about killed me. So I don't want you to run your whole business by yourself because you cannot do it and be successful and do those 3 things, right? Where you're closing deals, you're creating content, you're closing deals, and you're delivering key content. I got to a place where it's like now I can be selective in what I deliver. And I've decided that I only will work with the board level, the executive and C-suite level, and then I'll work and do the larger conferences and Keynote. The rest of my team does all of the rest of the stuff. So I can be back there creating more content, closing more deals, right? And then deciding which other ones that I want to Keynote. You may not be at a place where you can hire a full-time team, full-time staff. I get that. But there are so many opportunities for you to hire cloud workforce. Okay? Before I had a Teresa, I did have a VA, and I had never met her before in my life, and I had her for 18 months. Until she wasn't available anymore. I had never met Crystal, but Crystal was amazing as well too. We use Upwork and we use Fiverr and we use Thumbtack all the time. It's been amazing for us. We found some really, really good ones and a couple of bad ones, but that's just like a boyfriend or a man. You know, sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not. So you just have to weed them out. You have to weed them out. But For those that we have had has been amazing. So we've been able to use them. I have one person who is my graphic designer, does all of my graphics. I have never met Chris, and Chris has been with me, I know, 8 years. He is amazing. Then I have someone who does all these slick slides. I send him an outline of content. And I say, here's what slide 1, and it'll just say, key people resources. Or y'all saw like some of the other stuff I did earlier, and he always does, I tell him I want it to look cinematic. Right? I wanted to look like a movie, like a trailer. I wanted to be high resolution because I'm not going to put a whole lot of content or text on it. Just going to be visuals for people to be able to see. So I have had David, I got David off of Upwork, and then, after a while, they just come off of Upwork and I keep them. And so I send David stuff. In about 3 or 4 days, David gets me back my slide presentations. He is amazing. So I have all these different people who can do these different kinds of things. So someone was asking me earlier about who is it that takes your videos and can break them up into little snippets. Brain Blast Media, right? Got that from one of the CSP Summit, the CSP Summit last year. And they were sharing with us some of the ones that, and that was a CPAE, Mike Dermer told me about them. So that's how I learned. I keep asking for, so last week I reached out and I was like, hey, I need somebody who can do my webmastering and my multi-site management. Got her, now she's hired on. Right, so I have so many of these different kind of resources that you can use, but you cannot do it all. So if you want to grow your business and build it into a 6- and 7-figure, thriving, sustainable business, learn how to ask for help, learn how to reach out and get other resources because they are out there. So I want you to think about your resources and how effective they are, right? Who are you using? Where do you need to maybe make some shifts and some changes? There are some people that you're going to have to let go. I mean, everything, not just milk, butter, and cheese has an expiration date. Sometimes it's people resources. They have an expiration date too. So we've had to let a few people go because they either were not as responsive, their quality didn't match our quality and brand, or they just did not get back to us in time enough when we were asking for specific things. So learn early on to learn how to cut the cord quickly and not keep holding on to people. If they show you who they are, believe them and move on, because there's plenty of people who can do a lot of this work. So 16 key resources that I use. Now, I want you to understand something too, especially for so many of you who are new, and even those of us who've been out here for a long time. You don't have to do all of this stuff at one time. Those key streams of revenue that I talked about, build over time. I didn't build those things immediately, right? So you may every year maybe ask yourself, which ones do I want to add? Which ones do I want to sunset? Now we built up to that, but I'm in this thing now over 10 years on my own, but I've been doing it for almost 30 years. So I want you to understand that. Pace yourself, right? Just take what you can, eat the meat and spit out the bones. Take what you can handle right now and build it over time. Go at the pace that you can. Don't try to over-compete and overcompensate. Same thing with your key resources. But there are some, going back to someone's question earlier, which ones would I not have or which ones might I have? I'm going to tell you which ones out of these key resources you got to have. Okay? So, CPA. A must. Let me give you a quick story on this. Right after 2020, George Floyd was murdered. We do a lot of work in DE&I. Y'all remember all of these conversations and companies. Everybody started putting all this money towards DE&I, and I'd already been in this field for 20-something years. So we had so many clients, and we quadrupled during the pandemic. Quadrupled in business. What I didn't know is I had the wrong CPA at the time. And because we had filed our taxes, he had put a few things in the wrong boxes. And because we had just quadrupled, it kind of didn't look right when you're in the middle of a pandemic and everybody was suffering and their businesses were flailing, right? So that was a red flag. Then the second red flag was he was from Liberia, but he lived in Tampa with me, but his family was suffering a lot of COVID. So he went to Liberia and worked there for a couple of months. Well, he filed my taxes from there. That was problematic because of the IP address. That's the second red flag. The third red flag was we had made a lot of donations to charitable organizations because we had gotten in a lot of money. So I believe in giving back as much as I'm getting in. That was a red flag because we gave so much. And then, so it's like 5 red flags. The 5th red flag was we get this notice from the IRS saying that we're going to be audited. He had never been through an audit before, but I thought that was a badge of honor. Because, oh my God, he's never been through an audit before, so that means he keeps everybody away from the IRS. Nope, that ended up being a real problem for us because he did not know how to handle it. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to say. He got really aggressive with the IRS agent, made him mad. I mean, so he came out, wanted to do an office visit. I mean, all kind of stuff. So I realized through all of that, and that's a whole nother course. I mean, a whole nother thing I'm going to talk about, the 20 things you need to learn when you get faced with an IRS audit, because we learned a lot. But it ended up being a magnificent blessing to us. We learned that we needed to get rid of that CPA because we had outgrown him. Our business had outgrown him. He was really working with a lot of small businesses making under $500,000, and we had exceeded that, quadrupled it. So that was the first thing. Know when you need to get a new CPA. Understand there were questions that when we were working with our wealth advisor and our financial advisor, she told us, I want to be in on the interviews when you interview your next CPA, because there are things that they need to know about your business and there are questions that need to be asked so you know you got the right CPA. And I never even knew to ask about whether or not, you know, do you handle, what size companies do you handle? When you've gone through IRS audits, what's been the outcomes, those kinds of things. Just a lot of questions that I'm going to write that book on that one for real. So anyway, CPA, key and critical. But when I got this new CPA, Tony reminds me of like the, what's that guy, the one that was like in charge of all of like the gangs and stuff. Like Tony is like the Sopranos. Tony is Italian. He looks like him. He talks like him. But the one thing I loved about Tony is he had been through many, many IRS audits. And when I told him about what was going on, he was like, okay, stop right there. Don't give them anything else. We gave them more stuff than we should have. Give them what they asked for, but nothing else. We were given too much information, which was making it more complex because then they were like, okay, now we're going to audit this too. And then we're going to audit that too. Oh, you did that too? Okay, so we're going to audit. So he was like, don't give them anything else. They're not coming back out here to your office and anything. And then he wanted to know who the IRS agent was. And I told him, he's like, oh, I know her. So he called her and said, we're going to stop. We're going to regroup. We need to take a break. He asked for an extension on it. We got our stuff together. We laid everything out. He saw what the CPA had done wrong, all of the areas that he had filed incorrectly. He got all that stuff together. And then a few months later, 4 months later, he was able to go back and say, this is what we changed. We're going to do this. We're going to refile and get an extension. Went through all of that and took a $200,000 liability that we were going to have to owe down to $42,000. What? So we hurry up and wrote the check and said bye. Not only that, this CPA, and I just wanted to tell you this because I think it's so important for all of you to avoid some of this stuff, is the other thing that I did not know is when you get audited, 2 years later, they'll come back and audit you again just because you've been audited. But Tony made sure, this is stuff being recorded though, right? Okay, so this stuff I won't be putting out on the public domain. But what he was able to do in the when we closed it out was to agree that she's not going to be audited again because we've made all of these concessions. We're going to do all of these things. We're changing her business. I was even in the wrong business structure. I was a C corporation. I should have been an S. Just all kinds of stuff. So I just wanted y'all to know that there are some real learnings that come from it. But if you got a really, really good CPA, I could have literally went out of business. Seriously, by just an IRS audit and certain things that I just didn't know and we didn't have in place. We got it all in place now. Thank God for the CPA. The other one was an attorney. Now for us, you need the attorney because there's so many contracts that your clients will send you. And a lot of them, if you're not comfortable and you're not competent in reading all that legal mumbo jumbo, it can get you locked up, meaning your IP locked up. And they will own everything, including your lung and your kidney. So I hired Russ Riddle. And Russ Riddle is one of us. He's an NSA attorney by trade, IP attorney. Amazing, affordable, and really great to work with. Really great to work with. He has seen some of these contracts and he has helped us to go back and he has redlined all kind of stuff and said, no, you're getting ready to give up your baby, right? So he's helped us to stay out of a lot of trouble there. Attorneys help. Huh?
We had him speak here last year.
Isn't he amazing? Yeah, so I've had Russ now for the last 4 or 5 years, and he will be my forever friend. Your personal banker. Amazing to have a business account. Get to know your personal business banker. In the middle of COVID and all of that, when when everything shut down, and y'all remember that March 13th of 2020, when everybody was calling and saying everything is canceled. Your keynote is canceled, this conference is canceled, you're canceled, right? And so the personal banker was there to help us to get programs, to get PPP and all of that kind of stuff. Whenever we ever had any issues, like we were having international wires come into the account, and they were like, "This, you shouldn't be doing this. This is the way you need to set it up as an ACH," and that kind of stuff. She's the one that helps us. She looks out for our account. When we wanted to purchase commercial property, she was the one that we call. Anytime there's new accounts or new products and services that the bank offers us, they reach out to us. So you need to have your personal banker get to know you. Now they invite us out to things that they're sponsoring, and we get to go to these really nice events because we're considered some of their VIP clients. So that's important to know. I talked about graphic designer, but the 3 people that I would say do not slack on: your CPA, your attorney, and your banker. The next 4 would be your family, right? They are a key resource. Now my daughter works for me full time, but I talk about family in the sense of there's a lot of commitments that we have to make. This work can be really, tedious, and we need help from our families, but more importantly, we need their support. If you got a spouse or a partner or a significant other, they need to be supportive. You need them to be in your amen corner. You need them to speak life to you and not always be the one. I've worked with too many speakers where their spouses were not on board. They were traveling too much, or there's too much work here, and I don't like them doing this. And you got to assess that, because it can mentally drain you, and you won't be your best. So you've got to have the right support system around you and make sure that your family is bought in. A wealth advisor is a really great one too. So she has helped us. She's our financial wealth advisor. She has helped me tremendously be able to place our money into accounts that are going to help us to grow. I didn't even know anything about key person insurance. I had known nothing about that. Now she's helped us to set that up. I had some accounts that were not growing enough. I didn't know that I was in low risk when I should have been in high risk because of my age. So it's just all kinds of stuff that she has helped us to put in place. Now I've got all of my stuff is in trust now. So protecting this in perpetuity. She helped me set up my foundation, my nonprofit foundation. So these are the ones that help me now, that if I'm making a lot of money, that it's not all getting paid in taxes, but there's some shelters, some deductions that we need to be able to leverage through some of the accounts and stuff that we now offer. So got that, and I've got insurance on all of my workers now, life insurance policies. I didn't even know long-term disability insurance. I knew about that, short-term disability insurance, but I had to just think about that long-term care insurance. Because what happens, I want y'all to think about this. What happens if you get in an accident? What happens if you take ill? What happens if you're diagnosed with something and you are the only person in your company? Just think about that, right? And a lot of times we think we're so indispensable. But the one thing at any time is that all of us can become a person with a disability, and it can impact our ability to produce money and revenue for our company. So she helped me to think through some of those programs that would help pay, that even like I've got key person insurance on me that would then pay me if something came up and I was disabled for a bit. Important to know. So operations and administration, I talked to you about that. That was the question that came up earlier. You all need insurance. I don't know about you, but when you're working with corporations, a lot of times if you're applying for like a long-term contract, your RFPs, there's a specific line in there where they want you to have commercial liability insurance. Because if you're speaking, coaching, consulting, and you say something that puts that company in jeopardy, or somebody does something, what if somebody goes based on your feedback and goes out and gets violent in the company, or they go and commit suicide and it was because of the coaching you gave them? You can get sued. So you have to have some kind of insurance to protect you. Otherwise, they're going to come take your house, your car, and your children. And then the next 4. Webmaster, which I talked about. I have a director of sales He's the one that does all of the mining out there on the internet, finds out opportunities. He's the one that works with us when we get put on procurement and supply chain lists. He works that list and makes sure when we get back from a conference and we get that email list, he's the one that reaches out and makes calls and stuff like that. So he's our sales director and he gets full commission. I don't pay him for full-time salary. He eats what he catches. Yeah, Jermaine.
That was actually, yes, that was gonna be my question.
Yep.
You answered it, about the 100% commission.
Yeah.
However,
Mm-hmm.
how did you find a person who was gonna do 100% commission?
He came to me. I didn't have to find him. He found me and he was like, I know you're busy. I know your brand. I know your reputation. He was like, I want to work for somebody like you. So first thing is be known for someone who they know has a great brand and that people are going to recognize it when you make a call. So the fact that he's reaching out to people and they see my website or that he's able to say this about my bio, it's an easier sell for him. And so that's the important part too. You got to be a known commodity.
Did you ever do any a base salary commission?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
Nope. And the good part about it is he stayed steady in his income. Because if he gets such a $200,000 or $300,000 of tomatoes contract, he gets a commission of that. He gets 20%. Yeah. And the 20% is not all out at one time. It's spread out every time we get paid from them. He gets 20% of it. So that's how he ate. But the other thing was too, I wasn't his only client. He had 5 or 6 others of us as well too. He has a portfolio and I was one of his main ones. Exactly. Yeah, so that's how we were able to do it. Was he was one that he came to me and he's like, I'd love to be your director of sales. He calls it the business growth manager. So I was like, okay, we'll go with that. Sounds good. I didn't have anything to lose. And if you want to hire 2 or 3 of them, think about, I mean, they're all playing in probably different ponds, fishing in different ponds. That keeps you busy, keeps your business, fervent. And then research are very important. I do a lot of stuff on statistics and data. So I have a person who does a lot of our research and thinking about all of the audits and stuff that we've done over time. The audits, the employee engagement surveys, focus groups, assessments. Now we have Jason Dorsey who does an amazing job of doing some research. But I was like, shoot, we do all of this research. So I got somebody that does it on our team. He keeps me abreast of all the latest. So when I'm talking and giving statistics and stuff, it's fresh, it's new, it's hot off the press, it's relevant. But I also then have someone that on our team is does a quantitative analysis and synthesis. So they take over the last 2 or 3 years, all the assessments, the focus groups, and everything we got and turn it into a report. Clients love that. We sell it. All right, and then the last 4, publicists. Yes, we have a PR firm that we work with as well. We pay them a monthly fee, and they are the ones that help get me on, like the Yahoo Finance last 2 Fridays ago, I was on Yahoo Finance Live. I was on the Today Show, I was on CNN. They got me in Harvard Business Review, got me in Fast Company, got me in Forbes. Yep, again, it's about your brand, and it's about the topics of relevance that they want to talk about, and then they want to see that you've done this before, so they send them clips from previous interviews, and everyone else wants that, oh, she's been on there, oh, we want her too. So social media, very important. So I do have a person that does all of my social media stuff. I like to post too when I'm sitting in the airport or sitting on the airplane, but for the most part, I have someone who does scheduled postings about different things we're doing, different products we're offering, different services that are coming out. And then guess what? I have a business coach too. You are never ever at a place where you can check the box and say, I'm done, I got it all, I know everything there is to know about running a business and being a great speaker. I still have coaches. I still go to classes. I still want to learn from the best because I think there's still so much more to grow from. And then I believe that everybody needs this person. That is my Teresa. Everybody needs a Teresa. She's my senior manager of business operations. And I mean, she's my right arm, my backbone. She is my thinking partner. She is wicked smart, but she runs the whole office while I'm not here. So last night I was putting together the resources for you all. And I said, hey, can you, like last night when I got in about 9 or 10 o'clock last night, send it to her. This morning at 8:30, I get a message, done. I said, put this resource up. I want to give it to NSA, Minnesota. They'll be able to access it. She's like, it's already up there. So cool. You'll see her work. And the last thing I want to leave you with, and this is what she also put up there as well. If you want to streamline your back office operations. So yeah, killing the Keynote, that's one thing. But did you see how important all this other stuff is? Because you can Keynote and literally go bankrupt. Unless you're going to do 100 and 200 Keynotes a year, charging 25,000 tomatoes to make it sustainable. So you got to have a phenomenal team. You got to have the bookkeeping and QuickBooks in place, right? That's important. What do you use to track your expenses? Who do you have that's reconciling every dime and dollar that goes in, that goes out and comes in? You need that. And when we got audited, that was so important. And we were missing some stuff. We had the QuickBooks, but we were only using QuickBooks to send out the invoices to the clients so they can get paid. But we weren't tracking all the other expenses through the bank. So we needed to have the banks reconciled every month and put in QuickBooks. So now we're caught up and that's all done. You also need to, again, a streamlined back office. Who is doing some of your RFPs? Now those things can be pretty complex and extensive. So we have a couple people on our team that can read through these. Now I love it, I love it, I love it if you're not using ChatGPT and OpenAI. Upload that sucker into the AI and say, give me a 10-page summary of this 90-page RFP and tell me the specific things that I need. Love it. Maybe it's helped to be streamlined. But for a long time, we had to hire people who could go through the 90 pages, all the technical requirements, and then give us a template back on what needed to be filled in for us to be able to submit this contract, this proposal for a contract. Website maintenance I mentioned, so that's great because I got a multiple site. So I got drshirleydavis.com, I got the Dr. Shirley Davis Foundation, I got SDS Global Enterprises, and I have the Dr. Shirley Davis International. So all of those multi-sites, now we have a person that manages all of them. Drop shipping services. So we have merchandise. When people order, t-shirts and hats and candles and all that kind of stuff, we have a shipping service that does that for us. So we don't have to do anything. It's online, it's customized. It looks like we own it, but it ships right on out to them directly. Online to digital content. How many of you are using Thinkific or Kajabi? So some of you are using some of those knowledge link. And who did you say you were using, Jill?
News and Learn.
News and Learn, okay. Digital footprint is important. And then customer relationship management. So we just talked about some of those. Some of you might use MailChimp. Some of you might use Constant Contact, knowledge management. Some of those are the, oops, I'm sorry. Some of you want to take some pictures of them. Payment structures, right? So how do you have it set up for, sending out pay? But the other thing too is how can people pay for your services? We've gone cashless. So every time I'm selling now, I always have a little setup to where all of my QR codes are available so you can pay via Venmo, Cash App, Square, and PayPal. So you have to have multiple payment structures. Project management tools, yes, a lot of clients want to know how you're going to manage the project, what's going to be the ways that we keep them updated, how do we track progress and scheduling of our talent. As a speaker, that may not be as necessary for you, but when you've got a team of people and you're working with clients on long-term contracts, project management tools are key and critical. And then workspace collaboration tools. How do you share information with your team? So we have Google Workspace. But some people may use the Microsoft 365 workspace. Some people use the Teams, or some people use Slack. But you need to have something where all that information is housed and shared. So here is the QR code. So tell me if this works. Take a picture, and then you'll be able to download all of those resources that we just talked about. Is it working? Yep. Thank you, Teresa. Cool. Everybody get a copy of it? Good. So you have access to those. And I know, too, that they're recording today, so you also will have access to today's recording as well. And so I want to end with this. It's not enough just to kill the Keynote. And it's not enough just to run a successful business. I opened up with this, and I want to close with this. This is Treasure Island. This is the Gulf of Mexico, right here where Helene and Milton just came through with a vengeance and did just so much devastation. But I moved to Tampa Bay about 9 years ago because I wanted to live my best life. And this is my happy place. Anything by the water with beautiful weather and sun is my happy place. As a matter of fact, I wrote the book called Living Beyond What If. because I got out of my head and I stepped into my greatness. I had so many what if questions. What if I don't have enough money? What if I don't succeed? What if people don't like me? What if I don't have enough money to continue to finance this business? What if I fail at this? I got beyond all my what ifs, and I got to a place where it's like, what's next? Because I've removed and released all of the limitations that keep me from being parked on the side of the road and not living my best life, not doing what I'm called to do, passionate to do, gifted to do, and anointed to do. This is where I want all of us to be able to get to. You can be a killer keynoter. You can be an amazing business person. But I want you to become that person that you love every day, you take great care of every day, because if you're not available, if you're not at your best, neither is your business. This is my happy place, and I love to just walk 10 minutes down the street and have this sunset every day. From a long, busy day, from a hectic week when I'm traveling on the road, this is my happy place. And it's what helps me to refresh. Because I come here and I go everywhere around the world, I go with my cup full. I don't go with my cup half empty. I only go with my cup half full. My cup is overflowing. So that when I come, I'm pouring out into you. And I'm giving you everything so that my cup is empty. And then I go back to my happy place and I get filled back up again. That's so important. So I want you to think about some things that you can do. You've already hit on some of them. I want you to make a commitment today. Don't let what I shared with you and I poured out to you be in vain. Make a commitment today that there's at least 2 or 3 things that you can go back and implement to not only be a killer keynoter, to not only be an amazing, successful business person, but to become the best version of yourself so that you can live your best life too. Thank you so, so much. Stay in touch with me. Give this to you.